Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The $15 an hour coming catastrophe. Also, record tax revenues, but the government still runs a $500 billion deficit. And the Puerto Rican bailout that you may have heard of, you may not have. But is this a precedent of things to come? Let's cover that one first. Again, we're not paying attention to a lot of things that are on
Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States that has a debt of $73 billion.
And has no way to pay it back.
No way. They've been allowed to be indifferent about the whole thing. Nobody paid any attention to them. Although a territory means it's the responsibility of the United States. Like a lot of other things, the government in Washington has chosen not to get involved.
So is this just a trial balloon? We'll see if we can get away with this with Puerto Rico, and if that's the case, then Illinois, New Jersey, California.
You see, here again, we're getting into a time factor. As we sit here, we're already coming into mid-year. I don't think all these things are going to start happening very quickly. I think, but aren't
we setting the stage?
Yes, we are setting the stage in the sense of not paying attention to real issues. We're talking about, for 2 years when they had that sequestration about 2.5 years ago, which meant both the Defense Department and the basic federal agencies were going to cut
back. But only the Defense Department actually suffered the cuts.
Yes, exactly correct. With all the money that was saved. So for 2 years, instead of $450 billion of a deficit, we had a $250 billion deficit. A big step forward that came out of the back of the military and the Veterans Administration, which was totally mishandled. So the thing is that we are now knocking on the door of a $20 trillion and nothing is being done. I will give Paul Ryan, who I have a lot of respect for, he had to make a deal that took us all the way to the end of this fiscal year, which will be October the 1st of 2016. So there won't be anything that they're going to use as a political.
But you also realize that Chuck Schumer said that he couldn't even imagine that that's what they could have gotten. That was like in their wildest dreams, that budget deal that they got from Paul Ryan.
One of the things that they got out of it, and maybe I'm being a little partial there, they lifted the embargo on shipping oil all over the world, and that is going to be a major benefit to the United States.
But you didn't have to do that by extending the deficit.
I understand that, but the point is, I think Paul Ryan shrewdly figured if we don't do this now, they're going to use this against us. They're going to shut the government and then win the election because of it. I think that's the way he figured it. But anyway, that's a matter of opinion.
It is a matter of opinion. And I got to be honest with you, I liked Paul Ryan a lot better a couple of years ago when he wasn't in a leadership position. 'Cause I haven't been thrilled with what he's done so far.
Everything is relative.
Anyways, the record tax revenues that this government takes in, and we still have a $500 billion deficit. This insatiable, bloated, out-of-control government eats too much, drinks too much, spends too much. It's like the drunken sailor, but he's spending other people's money.
Well, they have bloated these agencies. They've taken the Environmental Protection Agency and made a Gestapo out of it. How about
the IRS?
Well, the IRS, of course, is totally out of control. I mean, I've gotten letters from them which have no rationale at all to reality. You'd think there was some hacker writing the letter.
Might have been.
Yeah, I mean, the things are happening, but the big thing that's happening right now is that nobody seemed to be paying attention to reining in some of these excesses that are going on. And who's getting hurt the worst? The independent businesses. The big corporations, what are they doing? They're just moving out. I don't care what Trump says. I think he's wrong on this case. He says the jobs aren't being thrown out of this country. They're being left to go out of this country because
it makes business sense.
Well, it makes business sense because the government is mishandling the business. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
But the guys that can't do anything are the independent business called small businesses, quote unquote, who are 100% here in the United States run by people that are American citizens, patriotic subjects for the United States, and there's nothing they can do.
Who've seen their taxes go up, who've seen their health insurance premiums go up, who've seen their deductibles go up, who've seen their co-pays go
you
up.
You are an independent
I was just
businessman.
quoting myself, basically.
Well, I've heard what you have said from 1,000 other people.
Right. Let's talk about the next catastrophe, the mandatory $15 an hour minimum wage. How ridiculous is this, especially when 93 million Americans are not working?
Well, I think again, and Hillary's making this a major point of her new.
Well, she has to, because she's got to try and out-left Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie has pushed her way to the left.
Right.
But the point of what people don't understand, okay, so let's say $15 an hour times 2,000 is about 30,000. Somebody making 50,000 or 100,000, that's not too bad. However, there's a huge number of people working for restaurants, working for hotels, part-time workers are going to get hurt by this. You know what's going to happen? First of all, if it's products are going to sit onto the consumer. But more so, I noticed a friend of mine said that they were waiting in line for 45 minutes to pick up some eye medicine because they had gotten rid of about 3 people that were working on the checkout counter. That's just the beginning. This is now what'll happen is it'll increase unemployment, and it'll increase the cost of goods.
And the argument that you hear is that, well, no one can live on $10 an hour. The minimum wage is not designed to be a career. It's designed for people like young kids that are just getting into the workforce to get a start. It's not meant to be your end-all job.
When you look at the whole basic concept of economics, unfortunately, I've made this now a life's work as far as commenting on it on a daily column for USA Today. I'm saying that to preen. I'm just saying that I've learned a lot. And the people that are making policy have no concept at all about what economics is all about, especially those jerks that they elect to Congress. They don't know, and this goes back to the days of Clinton. It goes back to the days of Bush, and has been handled to a fault by Obama.
So if we do see a $15, they're talking about on a federal scale. I mean, you've got to break it down by region too, don't you? $15 an hour means a lot different in Providence, Rhode Island.
They don't have a federal law yet. They have the law now in California. Was signed by Governor by Governor Jerry Brown, and it's in the process of being signed by Governor Cuomo, who is the governor of the People's Republic of New York.
A friend of mine that owns a restaurant, pretty prominent restaurant, said to me, the only thing that's going to change is your $10 hamburger, cheeseburger is now going to be $15. So you're just going to see the cost passed on to the consumer.
And also probably you'll have a lot of less people working for him too.
So like you said, you're going to have longer wait lines, you're going to have less service.
You know what, when we look at all these things, it seems to be a huge amount of indifference in this country. There is no outcry. There's no solidified anger about this happening. It's almost like, it's just another.
Well, here's the difference between today and the Great Depression. In the Great Depression, you saw the folks standing in the soup line. You saw them out there looking for a job. Now, with the EBT cards, you don't even recognize it. And people have cell phones, they have big screen TVs, they get their nails done, so their life is not affected.
Yeah, well, what do they say? There's less than half the people in the United States that they don't even pay taxes.
Right. And on top of that, they get what's called an earned income tax credit.
Oh, yeah, and you can thank Richard M. Nixon for that one.
But how ridiculous is the earned income? You didn't earn any income, but you're getting a tax credit.
Yeah, because that's what you would have gotten if you had a job.